Oh, thank you all for tuning in to another edition of Outside the Shop with me, your host, Daryl D. Lane, where I get to talk about everything that I normally don't get the chance to talk about in a regular sports podcast, Barbershop Sports Talk, which you guys can all find on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iRadio, SoundCloud, Pandora, the whole 9 yards there. Top 40 quarterbacks in the NFL, quarterback 8 and quarterback 7. And quarterback 8 is Russell Wilson. First of all, I want to say this. I think the demise of Russell Wilson has maybe been a teeny weeny bit understated. Russell was one of the harder quarterbacks during this process to evaluate. I think we're going to see how good he truly is, if he's still more of a top 5 guy or a guy that's entrenched on the bottom half of the top 10, right? I think that's the thing we'll see this year. Now, first of all, let's get with this. The ball pops out of his hands still. Has a pretty quick release. Gets the ball out of his hands fairly quickly. He goes through his reads. He has phenomenal accuracy, phenomenal touch, and really good anticipation on his throws. Really good timing. If you're open downfield, he's going to hit you. Russell does not leave a lot of yards on the field that way. If you're open down the field and you're running open, Russ is going to find you. He's a really good decision maker that way. He's a very relaxed and calm thrower. And I also think that's why he's one of the more clutch quarterbacks in the NFL, because he's always so relaxed. He never lets the moment get to him. He never gets frazzled. So that's always something that I think Russell was used to his success in his time in the NFL. Obviously, then we get to the scrambling. Russell's one of the best scramblers to ever play the game of football. He's great at making something out of absolutely nothing. I think, though, he has gotten worse at scrambling. Not as twitchy, not as quick, not as strong as it used to be there in terms of like getting defenders off him, making people miss. The feet don't move quite the same, but it's still quite good. He also does a good job in the pocket of using his pump fake to get people on the defense off balance, particularly guys in the secondary. I think one thing that has bothered me about Russ. I'll say this. One thing that has bothered me about Russ is I think he's gotten too comfortable taking the check down. I think that was also partly because of Pete Carroll and kind of that archaic Seattle Seahawks offense, right? Where it's like it's 3rd and 8, and they're like, let's run the ball. And it's like, okay, that's the dumbest play call I've ever seen. But Russ, he'll have his options downfield, and he's so comfortable taking the check down. It's kind of like, let's get out of that game manager mold. Like, right? Like, let's be a Herbert. Let's be a Mahomes. Let's be an Allen. Let's really push the needle. Let's not be comfortable being a check down Charlie. So that part of that mentality has been something that kind of dings Russell Wilson in my book. Also, good in the QB design run game. You can use him in the read option. Not a guy who's going to do QB power with, but can get to the edge of the tackle, get a first down, can scramble. Also, when he scrambles and throws, he can scramble and run and get extra yards as well. So Russell is still phenomenal with those things as well. Like I said, the deep ball throwing, it's great, particularly when guys are open. One thing that I did not like too with Russ is when throwing in the middle of the field, it can be bad. And I think part of that is because he's small. He can't step up in the pocket. When he's stepping up in the pocket, these linebackers are very big in the middle of the field. Also, these defensive tackles, they're very massive men. So I think sometimes he can struggle to see them. Also, I think he needs to stay in the pocket more. I think sometimes he was a little bit too willing to leave the pocket. So that's another thing that I think he needs to be a little bit more disciplined. And it's like, okay, Russ, somebody's coming open. You don't need to, skedaddle right now. So those are just some things about Russ. Really minor things, nothing too big. He still does a lot of things great, and you could have him higher, and he could prove himself to be a guy that should be in the top 5 without a doubt. Russell Wilson, very special player in this game. Also, another thing I do want to say about Russ before I get to our next guy. One more issue I had with Russ. He got hurt a few games last year. And part of the best ability is availability. So now we get to our next QB, Matthew Stafford, quarterback number 7. He's a machine throwing the football. And I'll tell you this, Matthew Stafford was my 6 all the way till today when I was typing out all my notes for this. He was my number 6 QB. And the only reason that he is 7, I dropped him down, is because of the elbow tendonitis. That's the only reason. I don't know if he's going to miss games throughout the year. I don't know how his throwing's going to look, but that really concerns me. So that's why I decided, you know what, I'm going to be conservative about this, and I'm going to put him at number 7. But besides that, he would be at number 6. Stafford's phenomenal. In terms of pure arm talent, the only people who surpass him are guys like Herbert, Allen, Rodgers, Mahomes. Stafford has an explosively powerful arm. when throwing down the field. He hits guys right in the hands, on target, with anticipation, with stride, yards after catch, again and again. Boom, boom, boom. He throws with real pace about him. Also, something that I like is he goes through his reads. He has good anticipation. He knows when to get the ball out of his hands. He's very tough in the pocket, can throw with bodies around him. Also, when he's about to take it in the kisser and he's about to get knocked down, he's willing to make those tough throws down the field and take a lot of punishment, which is another thing that I absolutely love about Stafford. He has great control of his football. He never loses control of the football, and that goes from all three areas of the field: short, medium, and long. He never loses control of the football, and that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about arm talent. Very good control of the football. Also, sidearm, can do sidearm, can throw for multiple different arm angles within the pocket. Easy. Also, people talk about Patrick Mahomes no-look passes. Matthew Stafford can do quite a few no-look passes. He did that in the Super Bowl against the Cincinnati Bengals. So very talented, goes through his reads, knows what he's trying to do, know what the offense is trying to do. Very intelligent quarterback, extremely tough, fantastic arm, right? Can throw it 50 yards, fading back off his back foot on a dime. So he is special. And I think one thing I will say about Sean McVay, and I think Sean McVay did for Stafford, is I think McVay gave Stafford a little bit more confidence, to be himself. Don't worry if you throw 3 picks. And this is another thing about Stafford that is extremely impressive and special about him. He can throw 3 interceptions in a row, and he will throw that next pass like it never happened. He doesn't shy away. He won't become a check down Charlie. He won't be like, okay, let's try to manage the game. I don't want to lose the game. What are they going to say about me on First Take or Undisputed or PTI? No, he's like, I'm going to throw a 4th interception, or I'm going to make this throw, and I know I can make the throw. That's another thing that I really respect about Stafford. Fantastic QB, fantastic arm talent. The issues with Stafford and the limitations in his game are this. He can be too risky. There are also times where it's like you're up 21-0, like midway through the 3rd quarter, and you're trying to stand to the gun and throw 30 yards down the field when you could have took a check down. And I know I just said I love that, but it's like, okay, why are you going to take that hit like that and potentially hurt yourself when you can just take the check down? You're up 21-0, 21-3. You don't need to do that, man. So that IQ part of the game, I think he needs to get better at. I think that's an inhibitor, but it's also what makes him great, right? So it's a catch-22. Also, I think sometimes he wants to push it down the field so much. He needs to learn more to take the check down, right? And he's good at taking the check down, but I think just, being more comfortable living to fight another day. Also, I think there can be some inconsistencies, right? He went through a stretch this past year and for like 3 games. I know there was one game when the Rams went to Lambeau Field and played the Packers where he just did not look good. And that can happen, right? But he got it back together towards the end of the season. Stafford's a phenomenal talent. If you don't think Stafford's one of the most talented 5-6 QBs in this game, I can't help you. But yeah, there are decisions that aren't great. But when you look at all the positive, all the great stuff he does for your offense, it's absolutely special. And those are quarterbacks 7 and 8 for my top 40 QBs. Have a great day, everybody, and God bless.